29th of July, and welcome to the Daily Insight. As usual, I'm joined by Abati and Mofara, who's in a suit today. How was your weekend, guys?
It was good.
What are you up to, Bati? You didn't call me all weekend.
No, I was working on something.
Morning, happy morning, Bati.
Morning.
I had a family event, but it was a good weekend.
Okay, and the suit?
No, just showing you what it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Anyway, big news getting into the weekend is, of course, the arrest of Priska Mfumira, who was then remanded in custody for 21 days. Although Daily News on Sunday says that it's just a catch and release game, the Standard says the arrest has opened a can of worms as government denies the arrest was linked to ZANU-PF's internal fights. Sunday Mail continues with ZAC issues for the second week in a row, saying that former ZAC bosses disappeared with key dockets for corruption cases. And on Monday, Herald says the anti-corruption fight is real. Daily News goes with an old story and an old story of the RBZ's exchange control directive, saying government makes a U-turn on US dollars. Newsday says MDC plots to impeach ED in Parliament. But to start with the financial headlines, yesterday ZIMRA released its performance for the 6 months to June. They say that gross collections for the first half were 5.27 billion against a targeted 4.3 billion, and thereby surpassing the target by 22.75%. We know that 6 billion was initially, when it was still 1-to-1, was their target for the full year, and they are yet to issue the revised figures, but 5.27 implies that for the full year they'll probably have around 11 or 12 billion.
Yeah. So by the end of the day, it's just like these budgets that companies put out to say, we're going to achieve this. But we've seen a lot of dynamics changing on the economic landscape. So really, some of these targets don't make much sense. For me, what makes sense from a collections perspective is then to compare whatever you're getting from the expected expenditure. For me, that starts to make sense. But of course, it was a bit expected. It was that, excise duty and also money transfer tax will definitely boost some of their coffers. So really, for me, there's no big surprise there.
Yeah, and we know from the budget that when it was still 1:1, Mutuli's expenditure was around 8 billion. It will probably be revised to probably double to about 16 billion. So these figures still far short. Already fall far short. And George Guamatanga, the Permanent Secretary of Finance, has already said that even if they do all the QPDs for the half year, their money is still short, and then they'll go to the market again for TBs. We saw that they tested the market, but I think after this and after these figures, they'll still go to the market and actually raise money, because their money will not be enough. But just looking at the heads, excise duty 1.2 billion, that was the main revenue performer, but that's also meaningless because fuel was being subsidized at 1:1. So the exchange rate losses, which government will have to take on, or they'll fall under the books of RBZ, but it's still a government loss. The IMMT was at 621 million. We saw value-added tax was also very significant at 500 million. And just for the quarter alone, second quarter, revenue amounted to 3.23 billion and surpassing the target of 2.33 billion. But like Bati said, the targets don't really matter. Kariba electricity generation now restricted to 358 megawatts as live water drops to 24%.
So that's the impact of the drought. We've seen that really affecting generation capacity. So really, we're not quite prepared, given, of course, limited investment in alternative, energy.
Yeah.
Of course, we're seeing some deals happening now, but we were quite late on the solar front.
Yeah, they'll take time.
They'll take time.
Not gonna happen immediately.
So that in Kenya, that they commissioned a wind farm. I'm thinking our Eastern Highlands, we're very mountainous regions. I'm sure in some of those valleys, they should have strong winds.
We don't have those coastal winds because they've got coastal winds. We actually don't. We have, I think, it would be right to say mountain winds, but they're not very significant
Yeah.
for any
They may
power.
not be
I think the
strong
potential
enough.
is in
Solar.
We've
solar,
got solar and
potential,
hydro because we've got a lot of dams. Zimbabwe is the
hydro.
most dammed country in southern Africa, so we've got a lot of potential in hydro. We've had mini hydros. The Garezi is a mini hydro, and there's another one also in
And
Manicaland.
even in thermal, I mean, we've got lots of coal. Of course, I mean, it's not that clean, but I mean, we have the coal and we have coal-based methane gas. So really, it's about trying to invest in
Yeah,
some
I
of
mean,
these
look,
projects.
that Lupane gas has been talked about for maybe 30 years. I mean, I know since I was a child, we grew up learning about it, and it's still there. It's untapped. That's like a quick win if we can get to it, but I think it's an issue of, setting our sights on it and then following through. Every election period, you hear about the Lupane gas, the methane bed, and how it built Qatar, but we haven't touched it. So that's a gap too. I think you're right for that thermal power.
Yeah.
So still on power, we've got the Minister of Energy coming back from South Africa empty-handed, according to the Daily News. And Eskom says it wants concrete payment plans and strong guarantees that ZIM will pay money for electricity. And this morning we've got an energy crisis in Durban being hosted by the ZNCC at an up-to-talk show that we probably should have gone to, but energy is still the main one. And I think this week when Mutuli presents his mid-term, we have got expectations that he'll come up with good plans to address the energy situation.